Yes.
Wow.
Hi, how are you doing? How's everybody? Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, right? It is Thursday,
Yeah.
right? Okay, good. All right. How's everybody? Good. Give everybody a couple of minutes to get logged on. I don't have my computer with the guidelines, but listen with your heart. Listen to hear. No judgment. Doesn't matter if we agree. But we are still going over this. We gotta take a break from this. So I think this is the last week we're gonna do it for a little while. We're gonna take a little break because this is intense. So maybe next week, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. My hair is so bad, y'all. I apologize. I keep messing with it. All right. So we have page 8. We've been doing this. This is week 3.
Yes.
Page 8. We're on page 8. So, I left off with this one last week. Hello. Hey, Malia. Hey, Donovan.
Hey, Malia.
And I'm going to read it. Do y'all remember it? Anybody remember it?
A little bit.
Something about
being a different character.
Yeah, creating versions of myself.
Yeah.
I kind of talked about that this morning in one of my readings, I think. I think that was my reading this morning, actually, now that I think about it. I'm going to just dive right into this. Hey, Ginger, how are you? Hey, Rusty, how are you? So I'm going to read this. Hey, Wit. Y'all ready? I'm telling everybody, hey. Okay. I spent so much time creating versions of myself that were far from the truth, characters I would perform depending on who was around, layers that could hide the inner dance of turmoil between my lack of confidence, the pain I did not understand, and the uneasiness that comes with reaching out to others for the love that I was not giving myself. So I'm going to say it one more time. It's you got to kind of listen. I spent so much time creating versions of myself that were far from the truth, characters I would perform depending on who was around, layers that could hide the inner dance of turmoil between my lack of confidence, the pain I did not understand, and the uneasiness that comes with reaching out to others for the love that I was not giving myself. All right, anybody want to dive on that one? We all do this. This is not every single person does this. Yeah. Every person. This is not.
I think we do this even when we have certain things figured out about ourselves. I think that you still create versions to some extent.
To some extent, absolutely.
Around everyone, around your family, around immediate family, around friends, around school people, work people. We're all somebody different. And I don't know if we feel like we have to be different to receive that love because we're not giving ourselves that love. Mm-hmm. And, that might be the whole key. You start to give yourself the love, then you don't have to be a different version.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
And that's that's kind of the concept of shadow work. You don't go in and do shadow work, not to necessarily overcome your shadow, but to understand the shadow and get to know your shadow self and get to know that dark part of yourself and to love it unconditionally as well. You're not going in there necessarily to change that part of yourself. Jung, Carl Jung is the one that tagged that shadow work anyway, and I think I may have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but a person without a shadow is only half a person. And so we have these ideas that we have to be good at good, and we can't have any what we perceive as negative thoughts or negative emotions or blah, 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 or things, blah, blah. We can't have secrets. So we hide them, and we're afraid of them, and we hate them. But what we have to understand, and I wish Bonnie was here because Bonnie came by today and pulled everything out of me, like just ripped it right out of me in front of everybody. But anyway, I'm not bitter. But she was saying that everything, we have to go through, we have to do it. It's part of our soul purpose. We go through things. And that shadow part of ourselves is part of who we are. It's part of who we are. It's part of who we are. Um, I'm lazy. I'm lazy at some things. I don't want to do them. I don't like doing them, and that's part of me. That's just part of who I am. I can either overcome it, or I can just be like, you know what? I'm just going to sink right down into my shadow lazy ass today, and that's what's going to happen. But learning to love even the dark parts of yourself. And that's hard. But you first have to accept them. You first have to accept them, that they're there. So I'm not going to do all the talking tonight, y'all. So anytime y'all want to jump in.
All right. Well, we were literally talking about this morning in class, like the concept, and then we were talking about it at work. This I feel like we're afraid of like the bad parts of ourselves because we feel like we're the only people who think those terrible thoughts. And then we were talking about that in class. We were talking about a Whitman poem, and about like it was the stanza that was basically like you're not alone in like these dark thoughts. Because like I've thought them too, and the truth is I think we're all like afraid of this idea of being like a terrible person, but the truth is like we all think terrible things and say terrible things sometimes.
Terrible according to what though?
But it's like I feel like that's part of the human condition. Like you can't hold yourself to the standard of like, oh, I can only think like perfect, wonderful, positive thoughts at all times, because that's just not reality.
Right.
Like, there's no amount of, like, spirituality or healing that's just going to pull us out of that, like, permanently. Like, that's just not how it works. And that's okay. Like, that's not... I'm not saying that, like, you should act on your terrible thoughts and, like, that's fine. No. But, like, it's okay to accept that that's just part of being human.
Yes, agreed. 100%. And the thing about giving yourself the love, when you love that part of yourself, you're able to give that love to others. Because when we hate our shadow self, the things that we dislike about ourselves, when we recognize them in someone else, we automatically judge and criticize and hate them, because that you recognize it, you see it. And it's not because they have that, it's because it makes you feel that. And that's under the surface there. We feel it, really strongly, I think. When people piss you off the most or get on your nerves the most, it's probably because of something inside of you that you recognize in them, and it becomes a mirror, and we don't like it.
It's definitely like this idea of like self-acceptance or self-forgiveness. It allows you to extend that grace to others or mercy to others because you've extended it to yourself.
Absolutely.
It's like the way I'm picturing it in my brain, it's like when I don't want to use the word embrace, but when you understand your shadow side, especially most people's shadows are a form of protection. Like they were created, those mechanisms were survival mechanisms. They were created so that you could survive in whatever environment that, you grew up in. But it's like once you understand, like, all right, this is a part of me. This is why I do this, or this, I don't know why I do this, but I understand that this may not be the kindest part of myself.
Sure.
And there is a reason why I'm not kind in this moment, or I'm not tolerant in this moment. It does allow you to see other people and understand, you know what? This isn't them. This is just a mechanism. And it's just like, I get it. Like when people, like something happened today at work, and I guess they were discussing somebody in a drive-through, and all I could think was maybe that person just having a bad day.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what's going on at their home. You don't know what they're having to deal with before they come to work. And yeah, it's easy for us to say, well, you shouldn't have picked a job like this. You shouldn't have chosen to go to the drive-thru.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Like, it's there's so much responsibility that I feel like we deflect when we don't embrace our shadow side. Versus like, you know what, this person really could not even have a home. They're probably trying to, it's because I've seen it. I've seen my mom trying to figure out which bill to pay. Like, is she going to let the water get cut off? She's going to let the lights get cut off. And it's the stress that brings on her, because at the time she had 2 small kids. It's just her. So that can cause you to lash out.
Absolutely, 100%.
Survival mode. So it's like, I'm pretty sure no one's choosing, oh, you know what? My dream is to be the cashier at the McDonald's drive-thru dealing with knuckleheads all day. I'm here because I kind of have to be. And if I have to be here and I'm in a bad mood, even if it's just because I don't like people,
Right.
You know, there's
Exactly.
a reason for that.
Right.
So it's just like, you know what? Just don't.
Just extend the love to yourself, and when you extend the love to yourself, you tend to extend it to others.
That stuff spreads too.
And this is beautiful. I'm gonna read. This is my favorite part. This is page 9. Okay, but this is kind of an extension of. It says, "I kept running away from my darkness until I understood that in it I would find my freedom." I kept running away from my darkness until I understood that in it I would find my freedom. Robin says, "Not everything is black or white. I can't see the whole thing. But good and evil are both a part of us. That's right, as humans. Which one tips the scale makes..." I can't see the rest of it. Okay. It isn't complicated at all. Lean towards good and love. But I mean, what is, I understand certain fundamental good and evil. I get that. I do. But some of the things that are, kind of programmed into our brains, that what's good and what's evil are just our nature. You know what I mean? Like, so sometimes it's not, it's just what we think is good. What we've been taught is good. We're taught in church that, certain things are bad. And I hate to go back to church, and I don't want to do that tonight. But what is good and what is evil, and that's kind of sometimes what we are taught is evil is not evil at all. And when you get in there and extend that love to yourself, love will cover, fix it,
I think there's also, like, bear with me, because I don't know how well I'm going to be able to, like, word this. I think some of our problem is that, like with, like, this idea of, like, good and bad or whatever, is that we think, like, a lot of it's not even necessarily, like, most of us are not doing anything truly evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right. Exactly.
I feel like evil, like, true evil is, like, an extraordinary, not in, like, a good way, but, like, it's an extraordinary act.
Yes.
It's not something that most of us are actually doing. But we feel like we're evil when we make mistakes.
Yes.
And, like, mistakes are so human, but we think we're not allowed to make those in the first place. Like,
right.
we would rather never make those and continue to, like, try to be perfect in some way than give ourselves the grace to fuck up.
Yeah.
And then have to go through the process of, like, being responsible for that action, having to ask forgiveness for that action for whoever was, like affected by it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't know how to do that without internalizing it as,
That's
like,
good.
a judgment on our own character.
That's very good. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go back to this one. I kept running away from my darkness until I understood that in it I would find my freedom. And this is truly about facing your demons, basically, is what I'm kind of interpreting this as. I hate to use the word demons because that's not what I mean, but, like, facing those things and finding a way to heal it or unlock it or release it or whatever, it's that part of that process of my reading. This is so much like my reading this morning. Unpacking things and assessing things and processing things and releasing the things and getting in that place. But if we never talk about it, or if we never go down in that place, if we never face it, we never get free from it. And that's what he's saying here, I think. We avoid that darkness because of fear or the way it makes us feel. I mean, if anything triggers that feeling, we are fight or flight, and usually it's flight. I'm turning around and going the other way. I don't like this. I'm not going to do 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 this. And then you don't do it. So you never get free from it. So facing the darkness is the most liberating thing that we can do. I read a meme and I wish I could remember it. I think I said it last week, something about the darkness being the gift. It was, I think, Whit, did you send that to me? I think you did send that to me, Whit. It was Rumi. I think it was a Rumi quote.
Oh.
Yeah. This one's really long. I'm going to read it.
You are.
I am, because it's really good. Really good. Many of us walk the earth as strangers to ourselves, not knowing what is true, why we feel what we feel, actively working to repress experiences or ideas that are too jarring for us to observe and release. It is a paradox occurring in the human mind. We run away from what we do not want to face, from what brings feelings of pain, and from problems we don't have answers to. But in our running away from ourselves, we are also running away from our own freedom. And that's kind of what I was just talking about. It is through the observation of all that we are and accepting what we observe with honesty and without judgment that we can release the tension that creates delusions in our mind and walls around the heart. This is why the keys to our freedom lie in our darkness. Because when we observe our darkness by bringing our light of awareness inward, the ego begins to dissipate into nothingness, and the subconscious slowly becomes understood. The mind is full of shadows, but shadows cannot withstand the patience and perseverance of light. Our minds can become like stars, powerful, united fields of pure light, but unlike a star, the healed mind will dwell in awareness and wisdom. There's a lot. But it's basically what I was going into that place. And this puts me in mind of the book that I'm reading, The Power of Now. He talked about that, going into those dark places and bringing that light to that dark place. And light, and I hate to use light as good and dark as bad. That just is so, I don't like it. It seems very racist to me. Darkness is not bad, and it's just the place where we try to, we've created that in our minds. But, and light is exposing it, bringing light to it so you can look at it, basically. It's to look, it's to see it. I need to see this. I need to accept that it is there and, do what I can with that. Let's see. Embracing your whole self. Yes. Perception is a big deal. Absolutely. I'm trying to get all the comments too. Anything that hurts yourself or others is bad and evil. I don't think it's evil.
I feel like good and evil are like human concepts.
Yeah, I don't think that, because we all do stuff that hurt us every day. Driving through that drive-through and eating that Big Mac and French fries, that is not good for you. Is it evil? No, it is not. And we do things that hurt us all the time. I don't think it's evil. I think that it is something that needs to be healed. Now, causing harm purposely to someone, evil, I don't know if I would call it evil. But yeah, that's a hard word. It's a hard word. So I like that what you just said.
There's also, okay, I keep thinking about this. This is something I've been like chewing on for a couple of weeks. Just like when we talk about like the concept of like our own darkness, our shadow self, whatever, it's always in the interest of like releasing that and being free of that. But what if the real freedom is actually being able to integrate that part of ourselves?
I believe that.
Like there's a time and a place.
I believe that.
Part of me that is a bitch.
Absolutely, and I believe that. And I'm gonna go to scripture with that, because I have preached about this. I preached this, and Jesus did shadow work.
Right.
Okay, Jesus. This is what I think. Now, you can call me a heretic, you can call me whatever, but I believe that the story of Jesus, right after he was baptized and the Spirit fell on him, right? The story, John the Baptist baptized him. And then he was immediately led into the wilderness, which is that time. That's into the darkness, y'all. That's into that place. That's what that means. He was led into the wilderness to be tested for 40 days. Now, 40 is the time of trial. It's a time of stretching. It's a time of growth. It's a time of this. So he's in the wilderness being tested by Satan. I believe that Satan is his shadow self, and we all have a Satan. We all have Satan. We all have that. Now, he overcame, and you can see just by reading that story the things that Jesus really struggled with, right? He struggled with his appetites. He struggled with his ego. He struggled with pride. And you can see that by the testings that he went through, right? So after he overcame Satan, he went into his ministry. Now, let's go to the end at the Last Supper, when it was time for him to go to the cross, right? Judas, he said, one of you will betray me. And they were all like, which one? And he said, the one whom I give this bread to. And so he, and it's interesting that he said, I give this bread to, because he's the bread, right? The metaphorically, Jesus is the bread of life. And so Jesus gave Judas the bread, and it says in that moment, and the devil entered him. So Jesus put the shadow into Judas so that Judas would go and betray him and get him to his purpose. Do you hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I think that, and then I think that there is a time. Absolutely. If somebody comes at one of y'all gonna see street BB. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna protect, and I'm gonna go into that place. So yes, absolutely, there is a time to use that. You have to use that shadow self sometimes.
My mind goes to the temple. The story of where he expresses anger
and flips the tables.
And
yes,
the tables and turning over the money changers and all of that stuff. Like, there's a time, and just Ravi Zachariah, R.I.P. Happy transition. He told a story that like really changed my perspective on the conversation of good and evil. And the stories pretty much was saying that humans don't really know what's good or what's bad, because what can appear to be good can actually be bad, and what can appear to be bad can actually be good. There's scriptures for that all the time. And the story he goes, there's like a farmer who has a son, and they're out and about, and they find a wild Mustang, and all of his neighbors are like, "Oh, that's so good! You found that wild Mustang! Like, that's so great!" And then while they're trying to break the Mustang bucks and kicks his son and breaks his son's leg. And now his neighbors are like, "Oh, that's so bad! I bet you guys wish you never would have found that Mustang." And then these a group of bandits come into town, and they take everybody's son, but they leave his son because his son's legs broke. And now the neighbors are like, "Oh, it's such a good thing that your son's leg." So it's just this ongoing conversation of just like, you never really know what's good, what's bad. And even the things that we deem as bad, when used correctly, whatever that means,
right,
it can be good. Like your anger, there's a such thing as a righteous anger. Mm-hmm. There's a such thing as like righteous wrath, or there's a time and place for everything. Even, Lord forbid, for murder. There's a time and a place, like the book, The Time to Kill. Mm-hmm. There's a time for war. There's a time for peace. There's balance. Is like essential. Sure. To our life. Absolutely. Now maybe one day we'll like elevate above that, but even too much sun will kill a plant. Yeah. You need the night. You need the rain. You need all of these things that people. Right. I don't really like that, because we don't like the way it makes us feel, but we need it. Absolutely, it's like you need darkness to sleep. Absolutely.
Of course, we don't know what's good and what's bad for ourselves, because when you're growing up, from the time that you're a child, you have someone else telling you, yes, that's good, that's bad. That's exactly right. So you don't know for yourself, and you have to try to, along the way, somehow figure that out. But you still have those thoughts that's in the back of your mind. Well, this person did say that this was bad. So
yeah, or that you're bad.
yeah,
Right.
You're bad because you don't look a certain way, eat a certain way, love a certain way.
Go to sleep at a certain
Go,
time.
yeah, you're bad. You don't, or you don't do this. You didn't accomplish this. You're not married with 2.5 kids, and without, I mean, you're not these things. So you're not
in your
good.
room.
I
Bad,
was
you
bad
need
because
to
I
eat.
talk too much.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
I'm
all,
high.
it's all biased
class
from
for 8
person to
hours.
person,
Biases.
depending on experiences.
You want me to sit
Absolutely.
still and be quiet for 8 hours as a 5-year-old? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm bad then.
Yeah.
So the next page says, let me see if I miss anything. Becky says, I'm working through this now. I feel peace from facing darkness. Yes. And it's not in the beginning. That's not what you feel when you begin it. It's not peace that you feel. I think when you get through it and you accept, okay, this is part of who I am. I accept it. And acceptance brings so much peace. Just accepting something and admitting something and it's there, and that brings so much peace. This one says, when we disconnect from our pain, we stop growing. When we are dominated by our pain, we stop growing. Freedom is observing our pain, letting it go, and moving forward, leaving it behind. And so there's that center, that middle place, that balance. We're talking about balance here. I'm thinking about the yin yang. I can't help but that's, that yin yang is a perfect balance of light and dark.
Mm-hmm.
There's, and the center is the place where we're growing, right? We're growing right in the middle of all of it. Yeah.
But even in that, there's light. Each side has the opposite in it.
It does. It does. The yin yang, yeah, it's got the little dot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
The dark side is the white dot, and the
that's right.
light side is the dark.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely right. All right, y'all are being a little more quiet tonight, making me new. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Okay, that's the Rumi quote you shared with me. There was another, I've got to find it. It was something about, I feared the darkness until I discovered the darkness was a gift, or something like that. I've read it somewhere. I've got to find it. It's going to make me crazy. Oh, I lost my comments. Okay, let's see. Any more comments? It's more of a spectrum. Oh, with lots and lots in the middle. I like that. Balance, yes. Make sure I'm not missing it. Sounds like it's about the context surrounding the action and or the intention behind it. Yeah, that's true. That was Donovan. I see that. Okay, let's go to the next page. Y'all, we're kind of breezing through this a little fast. I'm just saying.
All right.
Oh, well, this shifts. Totally shifts.
Okay.
It's not love if all they want from you is to fulfill their expectations.
Oh shit.
It's not love.
I don't think we're going to disagree with that.
No. I don't think we have a lot of dialogue on that. It's like, check, yes.
Yeah, we agree.
One of my greatest mistakes was believing that another person could hold together all the pieces of me.
That's
Uh-huh. That's
why I was probably in and out of so many relationships, because each person that came along seemed like they would be a better person to keep me together.
Was that not your expectation of them though?
That was, yes.
Oh wow, yeah.
Is that not, that's literally like
That's
what
a
that's talking about is codependency.
codependency.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Like,
Hey,
this is
Oh,
not,
yeah.
this
Ever
isn't like
experienced
mutual
that.
love
I
for
hope
like
I don't.
I'm
Yeah.
totally codependent.
But like what it is
Mhm.
like it's not like a mutual love where you love that person for all that they are. You love them for all that they do. And like in the moment, even if like it's like a lot of times it's not with bad intentions.
Right, you're so good
Oh,
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah,
You're so
right,
good
right.
for
It's
me.
like
Mhm.
that's not like even when it doesn't come with bad intentions, it's still not love.
Right,
Because it's still like this utilitarian like exchange
right.
rather than like this is like I love all of you and I embrace all of you and you do the same for me. Like,
That's why I've ended relationships and
Yeah.
friendships. I remember just recently, like, I was in the car on the phone crying to my mom because it's like, I was telling her, I do not understand why I get to love people for who they are. Like their dark side, even the sides that I don't really like. The ones that aggravate me and irritate me, it's like, I'm going to take this too because this is you, right?
Right.
I'm like, this is a part of you and I love you, so it is what it is.
Right.
But I was noticing in a lot of my friendships mainly, and my relationships too, but I'm more lenient with my friends. It's like, this makes me a diva and you don't want to deal with me on these days. But it's like, you can get on my tap dance on my last freaking nerve. And I'm still here like, yeah, come sit down. Let's just eat. You know, like, I love you more than it bothers me. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I'm not trying to remove that part of you or say that you should even change it. Even if deep in my heart, I feel like you probably should work on that. It's
but
just
you want them to do it for them, not for you, because that's how I am. I want someone to, how I am. I accept you for who you are. If you want to change it, change it. If you don't, you just don't. We'll just have to just deal with it. But just as soon as I step outside of that box that you put me in, because I didn't put myself in that box, you put me in that box. Just as soon as I step outside of that box, then
the love is revoked.
And I'm the mean person. I'm the bad person. I'm this. So, yeah, I get it.
It's also, like, as soon as you, like, there's such a fine line between being, like having, like, unreasonable expectations and then, like, holding the people you love accountable for their harmful actions. Because we all hurt the people we love, and the people we love always, like, not all the time, but they always, there's a time when they hurt us. And there's such a fine line between, like, controlling them for things that are harmless and then holding them accountable when they do something that's harmful.
The only accountability I believe in is boundaries. Like I said earlier, that's a part of you that I don't like, I don't tolerate. I can express, hey, this bothers me, this hurts me, this causes harm to me. The choice, like, what's Miss Bobby is her name?
Bonnie.
She really changed my life when she made all of her directions, like, because in my mind I would always take them as, like, when she says close your eyes, close your eyes. I mean, she's giving a direction. But she's like, no, I'm giving a suggestion. You don't have to close your eyes.
That's right.
And so it's just like that. I've always felt that way, but for someone to finally, like, validate, like, no, dummy, that's the actual thing. You don't have to do anything anybody tells you to do. If I say, hey, I don't like when you call me the B word, and if you care enough about me and you feel that's something you wish to change, then you will change it.
Right.
If you choose to continue to do so, that's perfectly fine. But I will remove myself.
Yes.
And that's really how I feel about accountability. Like, I'm not going to make you do anything. But if what you're doing is harmful to me, then I will be responsible for myself and remove myself.
Yeah.
And it's almost, and I think that's probably like that Will Ferrell, I think it was a Will Ferrell, he's like, I'm a peacock, you gotta let me fly. That's really how I feel. Like, I don't like being boxed in. Freedom is very important to me. I don't know what my south node, north node, whatever it's in, it values freedom. It's like, don't box me in, don't tell me what to do, don't try to control me. Let me explore my options for myself. Even if the fire is hot, if I want to touch it, just let me touch it. I'll find out.
And that's when I come unglued. Do not take my options away from me. Do not take my choices away from me. Now, you do what you want to do. And whatever you decide to do with what you want to do, then I can base mine out. If you don't want to change it, you don't have to. But then I have to do what I need to do for me. And the part with that I don't like, when I decide to do what I need to do for me, it's wrong. How? Because I'm not asking you to change whatever it is you need to change. I don't like it, but I don't have to deal with it, and you don't have to change it also. So
that's when the manipulation comes out. That's when the oh, well, I thought you loved me. Oh, my favorite line was, I had a friend who I blocked because I gave them chance after chance about an obvious trigger, and they continued to intentionally press that trigger. And I said, you know what? This is time for me to separate myself. And their first response was, okay, that's fine, I understand. I still consider you a friend. And it was quickly followed up by, did you consider God in that when you when you made that decision? And I was like, obviously, yes. But since you want to go there, let's go there. That's when the swords came out.
Oh.
Like, hey, yeah, matter of fact, I actually unblocked
Ninja
you
style.
before you knew you was blocked, and then this came, boop, this came, boop. Like, all of these confirmations came and say, no, please block this person again. So it's just like, yeah, God was there.
Or
He was
maybe if
all
I
up
listened
in
to
there.
God
was all up in there.
sooner, because I had a friend like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, but if I would have listened to God sooner, I wouldn't be back in this situation with you. But here I am.
Yeah.
So
You should have followed my gut the first time.
Yeah.
And guess what? Here we are.
Hello, B. How are you? All right, let's see. And this is a really good one because this is something that I did. Make sure the walls you build to protect yourself do not become a prison. And that is absolutely, and I say this a lot when in my readings. You know, you built the walls to protect boundaries. You built your boundaries, but now they're really high, and no one can get in to love you, and you can't get out to love anyone else. And you definitely are not loving on yourself because you are hiding in this place. So, yes, boundaries are healthy. Walls are death. You know, boundaries bring life. Walls bring death. You'll die in there. You'll die in there. Completely, 100% die in there. Okay, this is long too. I'm not going to read this.
Probably not. But
Probably not. The body contains our past emotions. Healing work creates space for the release of what we felt long ago. Don't run away from heavy emotions. Honor the anger. Give pain the space it needs to breathe. This is how we let go. And we talked about our bodies holding the trauma and all of those things. The body contains the past emotions. Healing work creates space for the release of what we felt long ago. Don't run away from heavy emotions. Honor the anger. Give pain the space it needs to breathe. This is how we let go. Sit in it. We were talking about that today. Sitting in what you're feeling and not calling it bad or good. Don't judge it. You're feeling it. It is legitimate. Feel it, but don't get stuck there. That's what we have to be really careful. And I'll tell you, we like to feel. We want to be stimulated. We want to have these, we really like, obviously, everywhere you go, we're always on our phone trying to get stimulation. We're sitting there watching TV. We're listening to the radio. We're trying to get stimulated. We need to feel something. We need to experience something.
External.
What's that?
We need it to be external because.
Well, that's a distraction.
Exactly, but like we would rather it be that than be like the feelings that are already there because those are uncomfortable. And
Well,
those
not
are
always though, but you can get addicted to like I feel angry and I'm gonna stay angry because I like this. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna pour fire on it as opposed to water. You know what I mean? So or letting it burn out on it. You don't want to pour water on it because that's exactly the same thing. You're putting it out before it's ready to go out. Let it burn, let it go out, and then walk away from it instead of pouring gas on it. And let me tell you, and I used to be really bad about this when I was young. If I was sad so I would play the saddest songs and just cry and cry and cry and just and over like and I would just pour fuel on that emotion because it was I needed that. I needed the feeling.
I would listen to a sad song and write a poem. No lie. And my poems.
Don't call me out right now, Jack.
Ever because it's like.
Is this not like? I know it would be like the saddest song ever, and I've been writing the saddest poem ever about my heartbreak or all my just like pain
and agony that you've been through your whole life, and then you go back to like 6th grade. You're like, even when I was in the 6th grade, and you just pull it all out and sit it there like a buffet, and you just kind of go back into it. We do it. It's true. It's something
I
that
think some of the greatest advice I get from my mom, and it's constant, is when I get depressed or sad, or I'm starting to feel something because of a situation or whatever, my mom will call me, or she'll text and she'll say, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I think I'm a little sad, or I'm a little depressed about this." She goes, "It's okay. It's okay to be that way. Just don't stay there."
Mm-hmm.
And she has always said that to me. Like, I can remember her saying that for such a long time. But until I was like a lot older, like maybe just even recently, I understand now what she means by that. Go ahead and feel all you gotta feel.
Mm-hmm.
But
Don't put the
bring
song on
yourself
repeat.
out of it. Yeah, don't put the song on repeat. Just bring yourself, stay there as long as you need to.
Mm-hmm.
But don't stay there forever. Come on out of it. And I've learned somehow to bring myself out of those
moments,
unwanted feelings
by feeling it, and that's how you
bring them out faster. Like, I
exactly,
get out of them faster,
and you
now.
don't
But
take it with you.
Oh yeah. You just
you
come
just
out
leave
of
it there,
and then you're done.
Because you follow through.
And I might get sad about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times my sadness is triggered by my dad's death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just
sure
is.
And
I'll be like crying and da da da, and then the next second I'll be like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
And so I'm come right up out of it.
And that's something you'll do.
Faster.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
faster every time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, you don't get stuck in it.
It's a wonderful feeling to know how to not to sit in it for as long as you need to, and then come up out of it.
Right.
But
well, it can become our identity. Yeah. It can become our identity. You know,
Yes.
we can hold on to that, and it just becomes our identity. You know, that's kind of you know, and we'll hold on to it, and because we don't know how to be otherwise.
But for a lot of people, a lot of those feelings are associated with good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yes, they are.
You know,
I can't feel angry because that's bad. I can't be depressed because
and
that's
so
bad.
People don't deal with it, you know, because
Right.
you shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't.
That's
be
exactly
sad.
right.
You can't be sad. You know, you need to, as your kid, you need to fix your face. Why are you sad?
Yeah.
There's nothing to be sad about.
Fix your face.
Fix your
Yeah.
face.
Fix
I
your
get
face.
that text from Susan sometimes. She'll say, "Your face."
Fix your
A lot of
face.
people don't deal with stuff because
That's exactly right. And that's what we were just talking about, the good and evil, and we think that anger's bad. Anger's one of our emotions, and anger's often triggered by fear.
Yeah.
It's often rooted in fear, but we don't. And that's exactly we don't feel it. So what do? It becomes a brick in our wall.
It sure does.
Yep.
It sure does.
And so I like that you just said that.
One of my better therapists said,
One of my better therapists.
Jennifer.
"This sucks," and she was straight with me. She said, "This sucks, and you need to give yourself time to cry whenever you need to do that, and then you need to wipe your face and do something different. Step away from it,
Mm-hmm.
and then in a week, if you need to come back and cry.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
step away from it."
Yeah.
And then the next thing that I think really helped me, besides the power of now, that was a big game changer, was figuring out how to look at my life from a different perspective and zoom out and realize how insignificant these things are. I'm going to be dead in 50 years, 100 years, and nothing's going to matter. So these things that are just eating away at me and taking over like my joy in little daily activities that are just eating at me, does it really matter?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of helped me
Yeah.
not to discredit those things, but just to help me realize that there are other things that I can appreciate, and it's time to do that.
Yeah.
I think that we choose every feeling that we have. I think it's very possible for us to choose
to come out of it.
To come out of it, or to say, I'm going to be happy today, and then go with that.
It's hard to do.
It's
hard
very
to do. Yeah, and
I'm not saying it's easy, but
Sure.
I do think that when we can remember, it's our choice how we respond, how we act, how we feel. It's our choice. Nobody can make me feel
lash
a certain
out.
way.
That's right.
You know, that was what my therapist always said. Nobody makes you feel anything. Oh, I hate that. I used to hate that. But nobody can make me feel guilty. Nobody can make me feel shame.
Right.
Nobody can make me, you know, happy. No one can make me feel loved.
Yeah.
That's all up to me.
Yeah, I told Susan, I guess 2 days ago, I just chose not to let things bother me anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
And it was always small stuff. Not always, but it was always small stuff. And I was just like, I've told you 100 times, you know, and just, you know what I mean? And I just, it's not a big deal.
It takes a lot of energy to be upset.
It does. It takes a lot more energy.
Yes.
And then just be like, that is really not a big deal, you know. And like, I've got a child, a 4-year-old. I'm old.
Yes. No,
And-
not that you're old, but yes, I get it.
Well, you're right.
I'm old and I have a child.
Right, and it's like, you know,
Yes.
I would get so frustrated with her, and then I'm just like, she's doing what
That's normal.
A 4-year-old.
what 4-year-olds do.
She's
and-
teaching you patience.
She's teaching me patience. I did not ask for that, but I did not ask for patience, no. But I mean, I just decided it's not that, and you know, me and Susan are talking because we both, you know, we kind of, by the end of the day, when we get home, we've just spent, we're tired, exhausted. And then, of course, Stella's like, hey, I want all of your attention, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And we're like, you know.
Right.
And so we had to learn to just, I'm just going to enjoy your time because I can't, who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? Who knows what, all I have is right now, and I'm going to be happy about it. And if your room's a mess, you know what? Clean it up whenever. I don't care. You know, if you clean it up, it's just going to get messy again. So just leave it, you know, it's not that big of a deal. So, you know, learning and we're talking about deeper stuff than this, but just starting with those small things and choosing in those moments, I'm just not going to be upset about that. And starting small like that helps when the big things come and you're just like, I just don't want to be angry. I just don't want to be sad. I just don't, and you know, there are some things that are going to piss you off. And there are some things that are going to make you sad, and there's some things that that's going to happen as well, and that's okay too. And we need to feel those emotions as well. But you can absolutely choose peace. That's, you know, I think about my card, choose peace. I think about that because that in my deck, it's, you know, her picture's in the middle of that circle, and it says choose peace. And I think about a hurricane. Speaking of, we have a hurricane coming. And I think about the chaos, and when things are still falling apart, you can still have the peace on the inside. And that's we can do that.
Everything falls apart on the outer bands of a hurricane. The high is
calm and peaceful.
And at the center, it's very
at
peaceful.
the center, and that's exactly at the center.
I mean,
yes,
it's like everything.
It's a
It's
Brandy
just
Carlisle song, actually.
it's what?
It's a Brandy Carlisle song.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't know that. Sorry.
but you know, but that's not that's because that's not our natural. That's not our nature. It is not our nature to choose, our human nature to choose peace. It's just not. It's just not.
Positive distractions are a game changer.
Positive distractions.
Yes.
You know, if you need help, you know, if you're crying too much and you need to step away, just pick up a new hobby and
Like the accordion, playing the
Like
accordion.
Is that how that came about?
I have several positive distractions.
But this is not. This is talking. Don't run away from it. Feel it. And the thing is, you have to be careful when you're trying to choose peace that you're not feeling those, like you were saying, because they're bad. You don't feel them. You're not ignoring them and pushing them back or pushing them down, because you have to feel those things. We need to feel those things. So it's
there has to be some type of rational thinking going on as well when you're going through all of that. When you're going through that pain and like there are certain things that hit you so fast and so hard that you have no idea how you may get out of that.
Sure, and you're spinning.
And
your emotions all you have. It's
it's
like a volcano.
And it's the hardest thing to do, but you have to kind of bring all that back and say, okay, let's be rational about this. What is really what is really happening here, and how can I talk myself through this? I mean, one of my therapists said, when you're perseverating, is that the right word? When you're going over something over and over and over and over and over in your head, and it's just getting worse and worse.
That's the fuel.
And then your feelings are getting worse and worse. Change what's going on inside your head. Start coming up with boy names that start with A.
Change that spiral.
Change that spiral. Like change that thought process by not necessarily thinking irrational, but if you get to that point, you start easy and you come up with boys names with A, and then later on you get to kind of be rational through that thought process, or
learning to turn the steering wheel.
And coming back around, I guess, and I'm just speaking from like things that maybe have helped me over because I'm trying to figure out, how did I get to be okay? I'm okay. I'm good. And I'm trying to figure out, how the hell did I get there? Like, how did that happen?
Right.
And I'm going through all these things, like what actually, and it wasn't one thing or another, I guess. It was like all these little stepping stones. Learning new and changing and facing and feeling and going through all the things. Facing it and feeling it, and going through the things that you have to go through in order to get to the okay. You know what I'm saying? Because it is definitely part of the journey. And letting go. You can't let go of something you won't face. Right. Because it's not yours if you don't face it.
Well,
so how can you let go of it?
Absolutely. And if you sometimes facing something is devastating. I mean,
it really is.
It's devastating. And the emotions are okay. Absolutely, 100%. As a pastor, I've done a lot of funerals and been to, with people through death and things like that. And it's the toughest part of being a pastor. But the thing with, in that moment, we do not like for people to feel, we don't like for the people we love, and the worst thing you can do when someone passes away is try to make them feel better.
That's true. It's not
the only thing you can really do is be there and listen. And it's like that in any situation, okay? Just give them time. They've got to feel. And so let them sit in it. And we have to sit in our stuff sometimes.
I think I kept waiting for you to say something profound when my dad died. And the biggest thing you did was you were just there. And I was like, baby's not saying anything. This is
you wouldn't have remembered it if I had. No, you would have not. You would have never remembered it.
But I remembered that you didn't say anything and that you were there. That the fact that you were there, you were right there. You were in the room.
Yeah.
With us, and that spoke volumes.
But I didn't say anything,
but
right?
You
and
did not say a word.
That's the thing, and that's. But I say all that because we have to experience those feelings, and sometimes it's best just not to say anything, and let the person that you're with feel what they're feeling, and then go from there, and then try to navigate that from there. So, but.
Yeah, I think on the flip side of that though, like talking about like you're trying to get out of that spiral. I think part of it is being willing to reach out to it's difficult to let people witness you in that state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is terrifying, and that is it feels horrible at first. But I think that is a big part of getting to that place, allowing yourself to process those feelings and getting to that place of okay is having somebody there with you that grounds you in the moment, because it's the only thing harder than letting somebody see you like that is to try to pull yourself out of that by yourself.
Yes. And how powerful is it when you do get to the place where you absolutely reach out to somebody, because we don't want to do that.
No, we
don't want to do that. And I want to stop here, I think, because it's 7:24. Maybe I'll do these two. This is really good.
Just gotta do this one.
Reminder. When the body is tired, the mind will often create worries to focus on.
Yeah.
Ask yourself often, am I observing this situation accurately, or am I projecting how I feel onto what's happening?
Oh, projecting.
I'm gonna rub on you a little. I know you're exhausted, and I know I'm the same way. When I'm exhausted, I'm not processing things correctly, and and that's like you were just saying at the drive-through. When you're exhausted, of course they're tired, they're having a bad day, and of course they're not processing things. When I'm tired, I have a whole dialogue in my head. If you walk up to me with a look on your face, I'm like, oh, no, she didn't. La, 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 la. And then I'm just like, bah, 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 bah. And then there I go down that spiral. Aaron, Adam, Alex, because I'm exhausted. And it's rest is important. And I know it's hard for our essential workers. I got V next to me, and I'm holding her hand because she's exhausted. She works all the time. And so I know that it makes a big difference. And being able to stop and say, wait a minute, I'm tired. Is this really happening, or do I
just need a nap?
Or do I need a nap or a vacation?
Or some, yeah.
Because as a pastor, I would do that. And I remember one time I went off on the senior pastor a little.
Just a little.
And he said, here, got you. There's a room. Go down. And I drove down to the coast, and they got me a hotel room all by myself. I drove down to the coast, and look, I took a bunch of books, and I was gonna I was gonna pray, and I was gonna read these books. And I got there, and I ordered a pizza.
And you slept.
I ate 2 pieces of pizza, and I slept. And I woke up and took a shower and ate a piece of pizza, fell back asleep, and I slept for 2 solid days. And when I got back, I was like a new person.
Wow.
But I snapped on my pastor.
It's all right. I snapped on mine a couple times.
But I mean, you know what I'm saying. I just, and when we're tired, it makes a big difference. So taking care of yourself physically is very, very important, especially if you're trying to heal something. Especially if you're trying to heal something and process something.
Yeah, and a lot of times that's when we let ourselves go.
We absolutely let ourselves go, especially when we're dealing with guilt or shame or trauma or this. Yeah. We're so stressed. We can't sleep. We can't eat. We can't, and you gotta, yeah. So you have to be deliberate in your healing.
Yeah, that's good.
It's really easy to abandon ourselves.
Absolutely.
When we have those really difficult emotions, especially with grief and pain. It's so easy to be consumed by those things.
Sure.
That we abandon everything that we need.
Yes.
Because that is everything that we have at that moment,
Yes.
Right.
Well, and also another thing we do is we focus on others' needs and not our own. Because if we focus on others, we don't have to focus within.
Right.
And so
that's very true.
And then we're really tired, So y'all, we made it to page 19.
Woo!
But
I think this is the best group.
Yeah, I think next week. I think next week we'll probably take a break from the book. We'll see. Maybe
we need some rest.
We need something funny.
Yeah.
We need
I should lead that.
We need we need something funny.
Oh my Lord.
But if you don't have this book, it's incredible. It's Inward by Young Pueblo. He's got another book out that I've got.
Oh, the other one.
Yeah, I've got that one.
What's it called?
Mm-hmm. I've been reading that. I saw it on. Yeah, it's just as bad. Brittany said it's just as bad. So what a great discussion tonight, guys. And remember, feel what you're feeling. Rest. Take care of yourself. Your healing is deliberate. Healing yourself is a deliberate process, and you deserve it. Okay. And everyone has a shadow, and we all probably thought the same things and done most of them too. You're not a bad person. You're not evil. All right. That was wonderful. I will see you guys next week. This Sunday, we are not having Recovering Christian because we're having Tibetan meditation with Lama Ingmar. So that's here Sunday at 9:30 instead of Recovering Christian. All right, guys. Y'all have a great day, great night. It's nighttime. It's the dark. It's the darkness. Go to the darkness and rest. You know why? Because you need it. All right, guys. Love y'all. Bye.